Welcome to week 182, Curated Conversation, Comparison, Keeping Your Eyes on Your Own Paper. Why comparison isn't the real test. In high school, I had this health teacher, Mrs. C, who paced the room during tests like a mall walker with a stopwatch. One day, I remember she stopped behind my desk and said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, Amy, keep your eyes on your own paper. The thing was, I wasn't cheating. I was thinking. You know, that squint up at the ceiling move we all do when we're trying to remember the difference between the pituitary gland and the pancreas? That was me. But it didn't matter. She saw my eyes shift, assumed the worst, and I felt the flush of shame ride up like the temperature today in Massachusetts. That moment stuck, not because I got in trouble, but because I learned how others interpreted my behavior, even when I was doing nothing wrong. And yes, I personally gave the yearbook staff this exact line for my pet peeve in 1995, getting blamed for something I really didn't do. For a long time, that's what comparison felt like. Someone catching me glancing sideways and assuming I didn't know what I was doing. The creative trailblazer. Fast forward a few decades, and now I work with heart-led, neurodivergent, creative trailblazers because I am one too. I know what it's like to build something that doesn't exist yet, to feel wildly inspired one moment and completely overwhelmed the next, to wrestle with executive dysfunction while leading with vision, to care deeply, think deeply and differently, and then wonder if it's too much or not enough. I don't just understand how you think, feel, and work, I live it. That's why the work I do isn't about fixing you, it's about helping you build a business that actually fits you. You're building something that doesn't exist yet. You're doing it your way and on your own timeline, and still your eyes wander. You peek at someone else's loud launch, their follower and engagement count, smiley workshop photos, speaking gigs, pricing models that make your eyes bug out, and suddenly your confidence flickers. It doesn't mean you're copying. It doesn't mean you don't know what you're doing. It just means that you're human. Comparison is part of the brain's design. It's how we evaluate ourselves, especially when we're operating in uncertainty. And for neurodivergent entrepreneurs with executive functioning challenges, uncertainty is the default setting. The entrepreneurial path we've chosen doesn't come with a syllabus or a Scranton, so it's no surprise we look around for clues, cues, and context. The trouble with glancing. The problem isn't comparison itself. The problem is when we compare up and decide we're behind, compare down and feel guilty for being ahead, and compare sideways and conclude we're not creative enough, brave enough, or together enough to belong. And the truth, most of the time, we're comparing our rough drafts to someone else's final edit or their highlight reel to our behind the scenes chaos. Comparison then becomes a distraction, a delay, and a detour. Comparison is like looking at someone else's test when the only question that matters is on your paper. Reclaiming the glance. So, what if we flipped it? What if that glance wasn't a red flag of insecurity, but a green light of curiosity? What if it didn't mean, I don't know what I'm doing, but rather, I care enough to keep learning? That sideways glance you give during a scroll, a workshop, or a network event is not always about envy or inadequacy. Sometimes it serves as a form of data collection, a pulse check, a quick scan of the terrain as you navigate your own unpaved road. And let's be honest, when you're a creative trailblazer, there's no Google Maps for the work you're doing, no playbook for how to build a business that honors your neurodivergent brain, your heart-led mission, and your creative drive all at once. So yes, you glance. You take in what others are doing. You wonder where you are on the path. That's not shameful, it's strategic. The trick is the internal translation. Our brains are wired to seek feedback, but not all feedback is useful. Not all comparisons are accurate, and not all test papers ask the same questions. When Mrs. C told me to keep my eyes on my own paper, she thought she was protecting the integrity of the test. But in hindsight, I realized something. The only integrity I needed to protect was my own. The test I was taking wasn't the one on the desk. It was the one happening in my head, a test of self-trust, confidence, and staying with the question long enough to find my answer. And that's exactly what entrepreneurship is, especially for those of us with big ideas and brains that don't follow a straight line. Comparison is inevitable, but it doesn't have to be corrosive. Instead of asking, am I behind? Try asking, what does this stir up in me? Is this a mirror or a magnifying glass? What's on my paper that needs more of my attention right now? You're not failing just because someone else appears further along. You're not off track because your timing looks different. You are a creative trailblazer by nature, and your path will look different, and it should. Your answers are still in progress, and they're entirely your own. My questions for you this week are, where are your eyes drifting in business right now? Are you looking for guidance or validation? Are you peeking to learn or to judge? And what would it look like to trust that your paper holds the exact questions you were meant to answer? If you're ready to stop comparing and start creating, and if you're tired of chasing someone else's blueprint and ready to build a business that truly aligns with your brain, values, and vision, let's talk. At Checkbook Creative, I work with heart-led, neurodivergent entrepreneurs who are done with the detours and ready to follow their own path with clarity, strategy, and confidence. Schedule a mapping session or a free consultation at checkbookcreative.com, and let's chart your next steps together. Your paper, your path, your time.